Grandma's heart-wrenching tale of abandonment with 7 kids reveals a shocking secret. In the quiet village of Maplewood, there lived an elderly woman named Margaret, known not just for her silver hair, but for the tales whispered about her. She had raised 7 children on her own after her husband mysteriously disappeared decades ago. Some said he left for a better life. Others claimed he was taken by shadows that danced around their home at night. But behind every glance and every murmured word lay a deep-seated fear, a secret that lay dormant, much like Margaret herself. The townsfolk had a way of gathering every Friday evening at the local tavern. They shared drinks, laughter, and sometimes hushed voices along the dark corners. About the lost husband, Randall. Wasn't it strange? No body, no closure. His absence hung in the air like fog, thick and disorienting. Margaret watched the world through her lace curtains, recalling how she had fought fierce winds just to survive after he vanished. With her hands trembling, she held old photographs, worn and creased, of a happier time. But as her health waned, so did her patience for silence. The walls echoed with memories too heavy to bear, and lurking within those cherished reminiscences was a truth no one dared speak. Randall had not simply disappeared. No, he was taken, snatched away by a powerful figure in the village, tangled in conspiracies that even the bravest hearts could not face. Meanwhile, her youngest daughter, Emma, was about to step into a whirlwind she could never have imagined. In the attic, buried under a pile of dusty boxes, she stumbled upon letters that flickered with old rivalries and betrayals. Each word unveiled a murky past that spelled out family loyalty and pain. Emma's heart raced. Should she delve deeper, risking her mother's fragile heart for a truth that could break them all apart? As tension swirled among her siblings, the weight of their mother's sorrow loomed larger. The once warm embraces turned chilly as accusations flew like arrows. "Why now, Emma?" one sibling shouted, eyes wide with fear. Others hushed. The air was thick. An unspoken question hung above them. Then, like a cloud that darkens a bright day, a mysterious stranger wandered into Maplewood. His piercing gaze didn't just see, it seemed to penetrate, searching for something or someone. Emma felt her pulse quicken. Could this stranger be tied to their mother's past? Was he here to mend the brokenness or to deepen it? With the letters in hand, the past whispering its secrets, Emma stood at a crossroads. Reveal the truth to her family, or protect what little peace they had left? Just as she pieced together the final revelation in one of the letters, a chilling realization settled in her bones. The answers she sought might cost them everything. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Emma stood frozen in the attic, fingers gripping the letters tighter as the world around her fell away. Her heart thundered in her chest. The last letter she read confirmed it. Her family's truth was built on lies. The wind howled through a broken window, sending a chill down her spine. She could hear her siblings below, their whispers rising and falling like the tide, unsure and uneasy. What if Mom knew? What if she didn't? She recalled their heated exchanges, her brothers and sisters torn between loyalty and the truth. The weight of the discovery threatened to crush her. Suddenly, a loud thump echoed from downstairs, followed by a cacophony of gasped breaths. Emma bolted from the attic, adrenaline pumping, her heart racing faster than her legs could carry her. She darted down the creaky stairwell, skidding to a stop at the living room doorway. What she saw shook her to her core. A figure in a long, dark coat stood in the center of the room, eyes flashing with a mix of anger and desperation. It was the stranger, the one she had sensed in town, a tall man with an air of authority that made everyone around him shrink back. But behind him stood her mother, Margaret, her frail frame trembling, a colorless face etched with fear. "Margaret," the man said, voice low and gravelly, "you thought you could hide it forever?" The room fell silent, tension bubbling like boiling water. Emma's heart dropped. What did he mean? Her mother cast a quick glance at her, eyes wide, pleading. "No, please not here," Margaret whispered, tears pooling in her eyes. Emma felt a heavy weight settle on her chest. The past was clawing to come forward, and she was now a part of it. The man took a step closer, an eerie calm washing over him. "You think you can keep the secrets of Maplewood buried? You owe me, Margaret. You know what you need to do." With that, he pulled a small object from his coat, a locket. As it swung before them, Emma's breath hitched. The locket gleamed under the dim light like a beacon of dark memories. Was it connected to Dad? She could feel anger rising in her throat. "Stop it!" Emma's voice rang out, breaking the stifling silence. "Who are you?" The siblings surged forward, crowding around Emma, their expressions a storm of confusion and fear. "What's going on?" one of her brothers shouted, clutching Emma's arm. Margaret shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It's not what you think," she cried, voice cracking with desperation. But the man leaned in closer, icy calm on his face. "No, Margaret, it is exactly what they think." The twist in the air was palpable. Secrets hung between them like fog, dense and suffocating. Emma felt a chill run down her spine. Could this man hold the key to her father's disappearance? With every heartbeat, the urgency grew stronger, pulling her into the tempestuous sea of family history. In that moment, as they stood locked within a web of betrayal, the air thick with tension and uncertainty, everything shifted. The weight of the locket in the man's hand hinted at unforgivable truths, stitching together a reality she could hardly process. Emma's eyes darted from her siblings to her mother, then back to the stranger. An unthinkable question loomed large. If her mother had built a life on lies, what else had been hidden? What price had Margaret paid all those years? With her heart racing, Emma's jaw clenched. The revelation of the locket hung like a noose, tightening with each shaking breath. Would revealing the truth lead to freedom, or would it unravel the family she had fought so hard to protect? Emma stood there, heart racing, eyes darting between her mother and the stranger. The heaviness in the air felt like a storm about to break. The locket hung mid-air, gleaming with secrets, as if it held the very essence of their family's turmoil. But suddenly, everything changed. A wild crash shook the house. The front door flew open with a bang, rattling the frames. A figure burst through the doorway, breathing heavily, drenched in rain. And it was David, Emma's eldest brother. His face was a mix of terror and urgency, eyes wide as he yelled, "Mom, we gotta go, now!" The man in the dark coat turned, startled, and for a moment, confusion masked his icy call. "What are you talking about?" he demanded, irritation lacing his voice. But David didn't wait for answers. He charged into the room, shoving the stranger aside like he meant nothing. "Emma, get Mom. We need to leave." David's hand shook, his breath coming out in panic gasps. The room spun with chaos. What was happening? "Did they find you?" Margaret's voice cracked as she turned to David, her eyes wild. "Who did?" "They're coming! The men of Maplewood! They found out about the deal!" A chill coursed through the room, freezing Emma in place. The men who had haunted their mother's past were back? But the stranger smirked, a sharp glint in his eyes, as he shrugged. "You—" Her breath caught in her throat. How could a simple attic discovery unravel everything this way? Then, before anyone could react, a loud thud echoed from outside. Heavy footsteps approached, urgent, relentless. Shadows danced at the windows, menacing figures lurking just beyond. The siblings felt a surge of terror, eyes darting to the door as if it were the only escape. "David, we have to protect Mom!" Emma shouted, gripping her brother's arm. "What's happening?" "Stop asking questions," he shot back, panic in his voice. "There's no time." Then he turned to the stranger, eyes blazing. "You think you can scare us? You think we'll bow to your threats?" The stranger stepped back, measured, almost amused. "I don't make threats, David. I make promises. And your secrets die with you." Suddenly, Margaret stepped forward, a fire igniting in her weary gaze. "You don't scare me. You have no power here anymore." The words felt like a declaration, defiant, unlike anything Emma had seen from her mother. But as soon as she spoke, a blinding light erupted outside. It pierced through the darkened glass like a beacon. The door shuddered, rattling on its hinges. The figures outside, now illuminated, revealed hard faces filled with determination, a tidal wave of fear and fury. Emma's heart dropped as she recognized them. Others from Maplewood, men she knew, men who had held grudges long before she was born. Her world tilted on its axis. What were they after? Why were they coming for her? "Family?" Before she could process it, a voice bellowed, echoing through the night. "Margaret, we know the truth. You can't hide from us any longer." With that, everything she thought she knew spiraled into chaos. Emma's hands tightened around the locket. As the truth began to unravel, she felt a sense of urgency. The storm outside was nothing compared to the one brewing within their hearts. Could the letters in the attic have been more than just remnants of the past? Was everything her family had built all smoke and mirrors? With chaos erupting around them, the question loomed larger than ever. Would they uncover the truth together, or would the very walls of their lives come crashing down? Emma's heart raced, eyes darting. Between her mother and the stranger, tension crackling in the air. The blinding light outside only intensified the chaos brewing within the room. The door shuddered under the pressure of the figures outside, a whisper of fear creeping through everyone's hearts. Then, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence. It wasn't just any scream. It was one of her siblings. Maybe Sarah or John. She couldn't tell. Panic rippled through the room like a shockwave. "Get down!" David shouted, lunging to shield Margaret. Emma felt her pulse quicken, fear rising like bile in her throat. She dashed to the window, but one figure stood apart. A woman, tall and fierce, her silver hair whipping in the wind like a flag of defiance. Emma's breath caught. "Mom?" she gasped, voice trembling as recognition washed over her. But it wasn't just any mother. It was the mother she had never met, a ghost from the past. "Margaret," the woman outside shouted, a spark of betrayal lighting her eyes. "You can't keep running. Your time is up." The room spiraled into confusion. Margaret's face went pale, lips trembling as she took a step back, something primal flickering in her eyes. "Lucy, you shouldn't be here," she whispered, voice cracking. Lucy's laugh was sharp, filled with contempt. "Oh, but here I am. It's time to finally end this." "Charade," she pointed accusingly at the locket in the stranger's hand. "It's time everyone learned the truth about you, Margaret. And your children," she sneered, gaze cold and piercing. "Well, they deserve to know who you really are." It felt like the ground opened beneath Emma. A cold shiver slithered down her spine. Who was this woman claiming to know their mother? The unspoken questions tangled in her mind, like a knot too tight to unravel. Margaret's voice trembled as she turned to Emma, desperation lacing her words. "You don't understand, Emma. This isn't just about your father." Before she could say more, the door burst open, slamming against the wall as a torrent of men flooded in, eyes ablaze and fury driving. "Them forward." Emma felt David's grip tighten on her arm, adrenaline surging through them both. "Run!" David shouted, but it was too late. The stranger stepped forward, blocking their way. "You all need to listen," he said, voice low and commanding. "There's more at stake here than you know." He turned sharply towards Margaret, lifting the locket. "You gave something away you shouldn't have. You thought it was lost, but you're wrong. It's alive, and they want it back." Emma clenched her jaw. "What are you talking about?" In that moment, the world tilted again. Lucy's eyes flashed with a knowing gleam, and she stepped into the room, unafraid. "You had a choice, and you chose wrong." With each word from Lucy, the truth loomed larger, pressing down on them until it felt suffocating. What choice? What dark secret? The questions swirled, growing louder. Then, in a startling revelation, the stranger dropped the locket onto the table. It clinked ominously, and as it hit the surface, a soft glow emanated from it, illuminating the room like the dawn breaking through night. Everyone froze, breathless and wide-eyed. "Now you see," Lucy hissed, voice low with malice. "Now you understand what you've lost." The air thickened with a sense of inevitability. As the glow pulsed in eerie rhythm, thoughts raced in Emma's mind. What had her mother done? What had been sacrificed? Margaret trembled, her face a mix of horror and regret, and in that moment Emma realized the very fabric of their family was woven with betrayals unseen, with secrets hidden in plain sight. Would the truth that lay ahead shatter everything she loved? And then the chaos erupted once more as footsteps came closer. Voices shouted, and Emma stood on the edge, caught in a whirlwind that was anything but predictable. Would she dare step into the light? Or would her family's tangled past drag her into darkness? Emma's heart raced, her mind spinning. The locket's glow pulsed like a heartbeat, illuminating the truths lurking in the corners of their lives. She could feel the air thicken around them, charged with unspoken accusations, old grudges, and secrets begging to be revealed. Then the room went silent. The thudding footsteps outside turned into a cacophony of shouting. The restless tension escalated, erupting into chaos. Shadows pressed against the windows, angry faces demanding to enter. "Margaret, you can't hide forever!" a voice bellowed again, cutting through the mounting fear. The man with the locket glanced at Margaret, his expression unwavering, almost pitying. The past has come to collect its due. Before Margaret could respond, Lucy lunged forward, her silvery hair flowing like a wild banner. "You wanted me back in this forsaken town, Margaret? Well, here I am!" She glared at her old rival, venom lacing her words. "You made the choice for both of us years ago. Now pay the price." A sudden thought crashed through Emma's mind like a heavy wave. This Lucy had something to do with her mother's pain. She could feel it deep in her bones. The question hung like a knife. Who was this woman, really? And why did her mother look so terrified? In that split second, the locket slipped from the stranger's fingers, tumbling toward the floor. It hit the wooden surface with a sharp clink, and then silence. As if time stopped, everyone held their breath. But then, with her feet, the wall beside her crumbled like dust, sending fragments scattering across the floor. Gasping, Emma clutched her head as debris rained down. Panic surged through her. This wasn't just chaos. This was a sign. "Get out!" David shouted, pulling Emma to her feet. But she couldn't move. Shock held her like a vice. Everything they knew, their family, their history, felt ready to collapse. And then, amidst the rubble, a figure emerged from the dust. It was a girl, no older than Emma, with wild hair and fierce eyes that flickered like flames. She stepped toward them, unharmed by the chaos around her. "Who are you?" Emma gasped, heart pounding. The girl looked familiar, but not quite. Something about her sent chills curling down Emma's spine. "I'm the one you forgot," the girl replied, her voice echoing with an otherworldly clarity. "The one who should never have existed." Margaret gasped, eyes wide with recognition and horror. "No, it can't be! How are you here?" The stranger's amused smirk faded. "You thought you could bury the truth, Margaret? You're wrong." He stepped aside to let the girl pass through the wreckage. As the girl drew closer, Emma felt a strange connection to her. Something primal. Like the pull of family. But how could that be? "What do you mean?" Emma demanded, desperate for answers. "I'm your sister," the girl declared, voice carrying the weight of years lost. "And I know everything." Emma's world shattered with those words. The realization sank in, heavy and suffocating. "No, that can't be true. You're lying." The girl shook her head, a sad smile playing on her lips. "I'm the one you built your lives upon, and yet your mother buried me to keep her secrets safe." As the pieces fell into place, dread twisted Emma's stomach. What kind of secrets? Who had Margaret become to protect them? Then, like flames igniting wood, a collection of memories flickered through Emma's mind. Images of family gatherings around the table, her mother's worried looks, the absence of a sister she never knew. Everything she thought she knew fractured into chaos. "Enough!" the man barked, trying to regain control. But it was too late. The air vibrated with revelation and fury. As tsunami crashed, the entire room felt ready to collapse. Emma's heart raced, every pulse thrumming with the weight of betrayal. "I need to know!" But the girl smiled, ominous and knowing. "The truth has finally found you, and the question remains." Before she could finish, footsteps thundered again. But this time, they were different, more chaotic, heading not just to them, but beyond, into the heart of Maplewood. "Emma!" Lucy shouted, eyes blazing. "You must choose now! Family or truth? Make your decision before it's taken from you." An option laid bare, but everything felt tangled. Yells rang out, candles flickered, and shadows danced wildly around them. Would the truth open doors to freedom, or close them for good? Emma stood at the brink of revelation, her heart pounding a warning. Every choice now felt laden with the danger of the past. Would the secrets of her family save them, or drive them apart forever? Emma stood paralyzed as the glimmer from the locket flickered ominously. The weight of Lucy's declaration hung in the air, thick with shock. "I'm your sister." Those words crashed over Emma like a tidal wave. How could this be? Her mind whirred, desperately trying to piece it together. "Stop!" she shouted. "You're lying! This can't be true!" The very foundation of her life felt like it was trembling on the edge of an abyss. Margaret stepped back, her face a mask of fear and guilt. "No, this can't be happening. Lucy, please," she stammered, eyes darting between the stranger and her long-lost daughter. "This doesn't change anything," the stranger insisted. But his confidence seemed to waver. An unease rippled through the room, as the walls themselves seemed to shake with the truth that threatened to explode into chaos. But Lucy smirked, her fierce eyes sparkling with a triumph that sent chills down Emma's spine. "You thought you could keep your little secret safe, didn't you, Mom? But the truth always surfaces. It always does," she taunted, her voice thick with venom. Suddenly, there was a deafening crash from the back of the house. The windows rattled violently. A frantic rattle of footsteps pounded up the stairs, overwhelming the tense atmosphere. "Mom, we need to." "Get out!" another voice shouted, this time Luke, the middle brother, his face pale with fright. "They're here!" Emma felt her heart constrict. Who is coming?" But before Luke could answer, the front door flew off its hinges, splintering to pieces. Time slowed as a figure stepped through. The silhouette was familiar. "Lucas!" Emma gasped. It was her brother. But he looked different. Eyes wild with something she couldn't place. His arms were laden with papers, loose and crumpled. But he clutched them like they were the most precious thing in the world. "Get away from her!" he yelled at Lucy, stepping protectively in front of Margaret. The desperate look in his eyes sent a jolt of fear through Emma. "Lucas, wait!" Margaret pleaded. But he thrust the papers forward, waving them frantically. "There's no time! You have to see this!" Lucas shouted, breath ragged. "I found out what they're after." Confused, Emma risked a glance over Lucas's shoulder. The figures from the street were now pouring into the house, faces obscured, but filled with purpose, their voices echoing menace. "Tell them the truth, Margaret, or we'll expose everything," one of the intruders yelled, and Emma felt a prick of fear. The tension crackled, splitting the air between them with an energy of dread. Lucas shook with panic, and his voice trembled. "There are things in that locket. It holds secrets we can't comprehend. They want it. Want her. They think it's the key to everything." Emma's head spun. "What do you mean? What's inside?" But then a sudden scream erupted from outside. A blinding white light flooded through the gaping doorframe as a shadow swept across the ceiling, an unseen force pushing relentlessly into their sanctuary. The locket began to glow, pulsing like a heartbeat, brighter and more demanding. "Run!" Emma screamed, instinctively grabbing Margaret's hand. They were all on edge, drowning in confusion, but also in fear. What truth had her mother been holding back all this time? But as they turned to escape, a shrill cry broke through the cacophony. "Stop right there!" Emma froze, eyes locked on the figure stepping forward, silhouetted against the chaos. It was a stranger, but not just any stranger. This one had the same silvery hair as Margaret, the same fierce spirit. "Who the hell are you?" Emma's voice trembled with disbelief. The woman smiled, a cold smile. "I'm here to finish what was started long ago. Margaret, your past has finally caught up with you." In that instant, everything shifted. Emma's heart raced as she realized this woman didn't just know their mother. She was part of her past, a part that had been hidden, locked away like a tempest waiting to break free. "Mom?" Emma whispered, fear sinking in like a stone. "What did you do?" But before Margaret could answer, the woman stepped closer, and with a flick of her wrist, the locket from the table shot toward her hand. The entire room erupted in chaos, a whirlwind of shadow and chaos. "Run! We'll explain later!" shouted David, pushing Emma away. But the world around them spiraled into chaos as the secrets buried beneath their skin clawed to the surface. And Emma could only stare as the woman laughed, echoing ominously, sealing their fate in darkness. Would they survive the flood of truth, or would the shadows consume them whole? Emma stood paralyzed as the glimmer from the locket flickered ominously. The weight of Lucy's declaration hung in the air, thick with shock. "I'm your sister." Those words crashed over Emma like a tidal wave. How could this be? Her mind whirred, desperately trying to piece it together. "Stop!" she shouted. "You're lying! This can't be true!" The very foundation of her life felt like it was trembling on the edge of an abyss. Margaret stepped back, her face a mask of fear and guilt. "No, this can't be happening. Lucy, please," she stammered, eyes darting between the stranger and her long-lost daughter. "This doesn't change anything," the stranger insisted, but his confidence seemed to waver. An unease rippled through the room, shaking the walls with the truth that threatened to explode into chaos. But Lucy smirked, her fierce eyes sparkling with a triumph that sent chills down Emma's spine. "You thought you could keep your little secret safe, didn't you, Mom? But the truth always surfaces. It always does," she taunted, her voice thick with venom. Suddenly, there was a deafening crash from the back of the house. The windows rattled violently. A frantic rattle of footsteps pounded up the stairs, overwhelming the tense atmosphere. "Mom! We need to get out!" another voice shouted. This time Luke, the middle brother, his face pale with fright. "They're here!" Emma felt her heart constrict. Who is coming?" But before Luke could answer, the front door flew off its hinges, splintering to pieces. Time slowed as a figure stepped through. The silhouette was familiar. "Lucas!" Emma gasped. It was her brother, but he looked different, eyes wild with fear. His arms were laden with papers, loose and crumpled, but he clutched them like they were the most precious thing in the world. "Get away from her!" he yelled at Lucy, stepping protectively in front of Margaret. The desperate look in his eyes sent a jolt of fear through Emma. "Lucas, wait!" Margaret pleaded, but he thrust the papers forward, waving them frantically. "There's no time! You have to see this!" Lucas shouted, breath ragged. "I found out what they're after!" Confused, Emma risked a glance over Lucas's shoulder. The figures from the street were now pouring into the house, faces obscured but filled with purpose. Their voices echoing menace. "Tell them the truth, Margaret, or we'll expose everything," one of the intruders yelled, and Emma felt a prick of fear. The tension crackled, splitting the air between them with an energy of dread. Lucas shook with panic, and his voice trembled. "There are things in that locket. It holds secrets we can't comprehend. They want it, want her. They think it's the key to everything." Emma's head spun. "What do you mean? What's inside?" But then a sudden scream erupted from outside. A blinding white light flooded through the gaping doorframe as a shadow swept across the ceiling, an unseen force pushing relentlessly into their sanctuary. The locket began to glow, pulsing like a heartbeat, brighter and more demanding. "Run!" Emma screamed, instinctively grabbing Margaret's hand. They were all on edge, drowning in confusion, but also in fear. What truth had her mother been holding back all this time? Before they could flee, the front wall exploded inward, sending shards of wood and debris flying. Emma ducked, but not fast enough. A cruel shard caught her shoulder, and pain radiated through her body like fire. She cried out, stumbling back. "Emma!" David shouted, rushing to her, but in the chaos, the glowing locket slipped from Lucy's fingers. It hit the ground with a resonant thud, and then everything changed. A pulse surged from the locket, a shock wave that threw everyone back like leaves in a storm. As the glow expanded, the shadows in the room twisted and swirled violently, morphing into a figure, the very essence of dusk. It took on the shape of a woman, her features sharp and beautiful, but her eyes, they burned with a strange fire. "I am the keeper of secrets," she declared, her voice echoing. "Like thunder, you've awoken me." Emma's heart raced. What are you doing?" Margaret fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "It can't be," she whimpered, recognizing the figure. The keeper smiled coldly. "You thought to shield your children from the truth? Your lies have trapped them, Margaret. You owe a debt, and I've come to collect." The room hummed with dread. Emma felt ripped between wanting to protect her mother and discovering the truth. "What do you mean? What debts?" "Everything you hide requires a payment, dear children," the keeper cooed, closing in on them. "And now it's time for reckoning." In that moment, the shadows around them twisted tighter, enclosing them, and Emma's world spun. Just as she thought she could reformulate her reality, a scream tore through the air, and David collapsed, clutching his chest, eyes wide with horror. "Dad!" Emma screamed, but as she turned, the dreadful truth shattered the room. The keeper stepped forward, revealing a familiar locket, the same bright glow pulsing forward, and from its depths emerged a familiar face, Randall, their father, alive, yet an amalgam of haunting shadows. "Dad?" Emma whispered, horrified. "Emma," he said faintly. His voice choked with centuries of pain. "I have come back for what is mine." The bolt of shock ripped through Emma's core. Everything she thought she knew twisted into a chaotic storm. Was her father a prisoner of their mother's past, or was he a part of this dark legacy? And before she could process the enormity of it all, the Keeper smiled with an unsettling hunger. "All the threads have been woven, and you must choose, children. Truth or darkness, or lose everything you hold dear." As the shadows closed in, one question haunted her. What price would they all have to pay to uncover the truth? Emma felt the air pulse with dread as her father's shadow loomed, twisting reality into something nightmarish. "Dad?" she whispered again, gripped by a wave of confusion. His sunken eyes stared straight through her, lost in a fog of past decisions and choices. The Keeper of Secrets watched them, a knowing smile playing on her lips, as if the truth awaited like a ravenous beast. Randall, her father, stepped closer, and every sense in Emma screamed to run. "You must understand, Emma. It was never about choosing sides." The shadows swirled, and dread tightened around her chest. "What do you mean?" She felt her voice steady, demanding truth. Suddenly, a deep rumble shook the ground beneath them, vibrations drumming through the air like an impending storm. Desks and chairs toppled, sending echoes of wood and metal colliding. Panic flared in Lucas's eyes. "We have to get out, now!" But before anyone could react, the wall next to them crumbled, exposing a deep, gaping void. Through the rubble stepped not just one, but a line of shadowy figures, cloaked and menacing. They moved in a blur, silent, yet powerful. Emma's breath hitched, fear gnawing at her heart. Before she could scream, Randall raised his hand, silencing the chaos. "Wait! You must listen! There's something you need to know!" he breathed, voice strained. The shadowy figures halted. Emma couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "What? What else could change?" she cried out in desperation. "What secrets do you still hide?" "Secrets?" A voice from the shadows sneered. It was a man, older, with a chilling grin. "The truth burns deeper than any secret could hide, Randall. We're here to collect what was promised." The realization struck like a slap. Emma's heart raced as whispers began amongst the frightened siblings. What was this promise? Suddenly, the Keeper stepped forward, her demeanor unflinching. "You all have a decision to make," she said coolly. Truths unveiled, connections rekindled. But before she could finish, the ground trembled again, more violently this time. The walls shuddered. A sudden flash of bright light erupted from the locket. Everyone shielded their eyes, and in that moment, time twisted like taffy. When the light faded, Emma blinked. But the figures were no longer just shadows. Flashes of vibrant memory exploded all around her. Images of family gatherings, laughter, arguments. Yet one image seized her heart. A younger Margaret, radiant and wild, stood among them. Laughing alongside another woman, Lucy, Emma gasped. Yes, the keeper said. But you see, that's not just Margaret's forgotten sister. She's a part of your mother and your father, too. With those words, the ground beneath Emma cracked, revealing a gnarled stone staircase that spiraled downward into darkness, calling to her. The echoes of laughter morphed into screams, thickening the air with betrayal. "Emma, don't!" Margaret shouted, panic in her voice. "You can't trust her!" But curiosity pulled Emma closer. What truth had her mother hidden? What horror lay beneath? "Time to abandon the past, Emma," the keeper exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "Join us, and all will be revealed." A sudden roar erupted from the shadows behind the figures, demanding her attention. "You will pay for the choices made, Randall," a voice boomed. "And it begins now." That's when the stairway exploded, sending shocks of debris swirling around them. Everyone stumbled. Lucas grasped David's arm, eyes wide. The connection was broken. And in that moment of chaos, everything turned black. When Emma opened her eyes again, she found herself standing before a mirror. Not the one in the living room, but a grand mirror, reflecting not just images, but the very essence of her family's history. She blinked, and there it was, a swirling vortex of moments from the past, every misdeed laid bare. Tears streamed down her face. This was not just about secrets. It was about sacrifice. And standing beside her, in the mirror, was not just her reflection. It was Lucy, with a face echoing her own. "Understanding comes a cost," Lucy whispered. "And now you see the truth. About all of us." Shock reverberated through Emma. Lucy wasn't just her sister. She was a part of the fabric of their existence. So many questions remained, and in a heartbeat, everything she thought she knew shattered into fragments, demanding she confront not just her family's secrets, but her own destiny. Could she really handle the truth? Or would it destroy her entirely? Alice stared at the reflection in the mirror, the swirling memories wrapping around her like a suffocating fog. Lucy, the sister she never knew, locked eyes with her, intense and fierce, a shiver running down Emma's spine. "This is only the beginning," Lucy whispered, a smirk dancing on her lips. Suddenly, the world tilted, the mirror's surface rippled, and a surge of energy shot through Emma. She stumbled back, gasping, images swirling faster, memories colliding, and then darkness. When she opened her eyes again, they were no longer in the strange dimension of memories. Light flooded the room, blinding her briefly. As the brightness faded, the sight that met her made her heart lurch in her chest. They stood in a vast room filled with ancient artifacts, walls lined with dusty books. The atmosphere was thick with an energy that felt alive. But in the center, where the light seemed to throb, was an altar, and on that altar lay something wrapped in crimson cloth, a sinister, pulsing heartbeat. "Emma, this is it," came Randall's voice, firm and resolute, yet haunting. "This is what your mother protected. This is what they want." The realization struck her, like ice water coursing through her veins. What is it? She felt a mix of dread and curiosity clawing at her throat. She took a small step forward, drawn to it. She could sense dark intentions weaving around the altar, lurking in the corners of the room. The Keeper of Secrets stepped forward, her presence dominating. This artifact holds the secrets of Maplewood. It is the key to power, to everything. Her voice flowed. Silk layered with poison. Understand, children, what you choose today could reshape your fates. But just as Emma reached for the cloth, her hand barely grazing the surface, a loud crack echoed through the room. The altar vibrated, sending shockwaves slamming against the walls. Emma stumbled back, and when she looked around, panic spread like wildfire. The shadows grew longer, swirling, shifting out of control. The figures of her family began to blur. "What's happening?" she screamed. "Why can't we—" But her voice was drowned out by the roar of multiple voices merging into one. "You have awakened forces you don't understand. You tread on dangerous ground." Then, boom, the ground trembled beneath their feet. Emma grabbed hold of Lucy, her heart racing with fear. "What is this?" Randall's eyes softened, filled with pain. Sometimes the past is more powerful than we can imagine. And then, the truth exploded around them. The crimson cloth pulsed violently, and in a shocking flash, the shadows coalesced into one figure, Mother. The figure gasped, voice echoing with recognition. Emma recognized the face. A younger version of Margaret emerged from the shadows, her expression a mix of anger and anguish. "You shouldn't have done this, Lucy," she shouted, hands trembling. "You pushed too far." Lucy stepped back, eyes wide with revelation. "But you told me the sacrifices were necessary, that it would protect our family." Margaret shook her head vehemently. "Not like this. Not at the cost of our children." The room spiraled, flickering with shadows, and suddenly a new understanding gripped Emma. "You all knew?" She felt that tight knot of fear loosen, replaced by a surge of anger. "Why did you hide this from us? Why from me?" But before anyone could respond, a blinding light erupted from the artifact, like an explosion of stars, filling every corner of the room. It washed over them, and with it came clarity. In that moment of lucidity, Emma saw it, the bond that wove through her family, the sacrifices made, the power that threatened to consume them all. She felt older, burdened by the weight of secrets, not just hers, but collective. Then the Keeper spoke, her voice a soft whisper that echoed forever. "Make your choice. Emma, family or truth, it is not just your fate at stake." Everything hung in the balance, and as the artifact flickered in and out of focus, Emma felt an overwhelming choice pressing down on her. Would she unearth the truths that could shatter them all, or would they remain veiled in secrecy? The answer felt just beyond her reach, a wisp of smoke fading into the shadows. The air buzzed, expectation crackling. The uncertainty ignited a deep fear in her soul. But the choice loomed, and then something unexpected struck her like a bolt. "What if the truth is the family?" she gasped, realization dawning as the shadows settled around them, bending closer. "Don't you see?" she cried out, heart racing. "We are all bound by our secrets. They connect us, even the ones we don't know." Margaret's face fell, and for the first time, something shifted. But before they could process the possibilities, a roar erupted from the shadows. "Shake the core. Break the chains!" The altar shattered into fragments, scattering into the abyss of darkness as chaos reigned supreme. Emma clutched at her heart, fears spiraling as the fabric of their lives tore apart, leaving only one question hanging precariously in the air. Was the future forged by truth or crushed under the weight of betrayal? Emma felt the ground tremble beneath her, dust swirling around them like remnants of forgotten moments. Shadows twisted and morphed, merging into her family's past. Anxiety clawed at her throat as she struggled to comprehend what was unfolding before her. "We are stronger together," she declared, holding Lucy's gaze with newfound determination. The keeper of secrets watched with an amused smile, shadows dancing around her form. "You think unity will shield you from the truth? It goes deeper than that." The chaotic energy pulsed like an electric storm, threatening to tear them apart. Emma felt her heart race, filled with a fierce resolve. "No, we refuse to live in fear anymore." In that moment, Margaret stepped forward, trembling yet defiant. "Emma is right. Our strength lies in our bonds, not our secrets. We don't need this darkness." Her voice trembled, but held a power that shook the very air around them. "My children," Randall's voice echoed softly, his eyes pleading. "You have to believe me. I never wanted this. But Lucy, she's a part of a legacy I thought buried." Tears streamed down Emma's cheeks as she processed the tangled web of betrayal, fear, and love. Family isn't just blood. It's the memories we choose to share. She reached for Lucy's hand, and in that moment, vulnerability broke the darkness around them. As they gripped tightly, the energy in the room shifted. The keeper recoiled, shadows shrinking. "No! This isn't how it's meant to end!" she snarled, shadows swirling as if panicking. But Emma's voice rose above the storm. "We choose to face the truth together." Her words ignited their collective strength, lighting a fire within each heart. With a deafening roar, the artifact pulsated, transforming, releasing a blinding light that enveloped them. Emma squinted, her heart pounding, feeling a warmth wash over her. The shadows recoiled, shrieking in agony as the vibrant glow consumed them. Suddenly, silence fell. The room shimmered, transforming into a tranquil space, no longer filled with fear, but clarity. The shadows faded, replaced by shimmering light that danced in the corners. "Is it over?" David whispered, eyes wide as he surveyed the newfound calm. Randall stepped forward, his features softening. "We've released the bond, but the choice remains." He embraced Margaret, the weight of years lost crumbling as they held on to each other. In this newfound peace, Emma looked around at her siblings and her mother, their faces lined with tears of relief. They had uncovered the truth together. "Thank you," she breathed, her heart swelling with love for them all. "Thank you for facing the darkness with me." But behind them, a flicker caught Emma's eye. An echo hung in the air, a soft whisper, a reminder of the past, yet it no longer had the power to control their futures. "Will we be okay?" she asked hesitantly. Margaret smiled, a lightness in her voice. "We will. The road ahead may be tough, but it's ours to walk." Slowly they embraced, letting go of the pain that had consumed their hearts for so long. Their bond felt renewed, stronger than the shadows that had once haunted them. As they stepped forward together, hope surged within Emma. This was not just the end, it was the beginning of a new chapter, forged by love, truth, and acceptance. And as they walked into the light, she felt the weight of their past lift replaced by a bright future full of possibilities. Emma squeezed Lucy's hand tighter. A sister found, a family redefined. Listen up, everyone. This is the moment to show your support. If you don't want to miss any of the upcoming exclusive stories, you have to subscribe right now. Smash that like button so we can feed the algorithm and keep bringing you this fantastic content. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about how the story ended. Don't wait even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see how it all wraps up. Your support means everything. Let's keep this wonderful community alive together.